The truth is that the proportion of the nation's wealth shared with workers has now fallen dramatically. We all know this instinctively. Ask yourself from your own experiences. You've seen things like overtime rates and penal rates savagely cut back. That's what happened in the 1990s. It happened to a lot more non-union workers than union workers, but it happened to union workers as well. We know that even today many workers struggle to get a decent pay rise. And this transfer of the nation's wealth away from workers is about to get worse. Look what's going to happen on the 1st of October this year. GST will go up. Goes from 12.5% to 15%. But look what else happens in the tax system. The top rates of tax, the rates of tax that the wealthiest pay, are going to be cut dramatically. Now the government tells us that, well, the increase in GST will be compensated for by the tax cuts. They won't be. They won't be. The real story is that those who are currently paying the top rates of tax who enjoy that cut will have a windfall. The figures show, the government's own figures show, that the top 2% of earners will get 11% of the tax windfall that's about to be given to them. And this is all relevant to what we are here for this week, because confronting this sort of injustice is exactly what unions have always been about. That's what we stand for. Correcting the injustice, confronting the imbalance, taking on the fight, and giving our members and working people a fair go. And so this week, as we meet this week, we have a choice to make, and we have a big choice. And we've only got 2 days, and we have many remits to go through that have come from delegate forums and industry councils, and many of those remits, when you look at them, actually are about this issue. They are about the share that workers get of the wealth they generate. And we have a report from a project commissioned from the last conference, that project called The Future of the Union. But the choice we face is this. Are we prepared to make a change? Are we prepared to lead change? Are we prepared to take on the hard work and do the hard yards that is about confronting that injustice? Do we think change is necessary? Are we serious about changing the things that have harmed workers for the last 30 years and are still damaging workers today? That's the commitment that we are being asked for the next 2 days to think about and decide on. You see, I think that it is time for a change. And I think it's time for big change. Some might say radical change. There is another truth that has become evident in the last 20 or so years, and that is that the most enduring and coherent social force in our societies today remains unions. It remains organised labour. No other institution in society has been as enduring and has survived as long as unions. And so we can, as we deliberate this week, as we confront the facts in front of us about what has happened and the injustices that we see, we can do so with confidence that we are still here, that we do what we do and do it well, and that we can, if we have a willingness to do so, a willingness to draw from the depths of our own insides, want to make a change, that we can if we wish to. The challenge for these next 2 days is nothing less than that. Which is why the decision also on whether or not we wish to make change is one for unions. And in New Zealand, it is one for one of the most active and influential unions, and that is, without blowing our own trumpets, that is us. That is the EPMU. Because we have the size, we have the experience, we have the track record, we have the members, we have the officials, we have the capability. The question is, are we serious about doing something about the problems that we know are there? So what might change look like? It might start with the idea that the most important thing is people. People living decently, people living with dignity. It might start with the idea that an acceptance of people being at the heart of the way we live and the way we are. And in order to live decently and to live with dignity, is that wages and incomes are central to healthy homes, healthy communities. It starts with the idea that the chance to earn an income is utterly crucial in modern civilised society. The idea that it is acceptable for tens of thousands of people to be jobless, to go without an income, is something we should never tolerate. It's something we should actively fight against. It starts with the idea that to earn decent wages means good businesses that are well run and, most importantly, respectful of the people who work in them. The idea that business, like governments, must serve the needs of the people and of the communities that they are a part of. The idea that the role and place of government is essential for healthy communities, to provide stability, to provide moderation, to provide fairness, to ensure justice, to ensure that all voices are heard. That is the role of government, local and central. So the next 2 days, as we deliberate with the remits, as we look at the future of the union project, we have a chance to be ambitious for ourselves, to be ambitious for our members, to be ambitious for other workers. So I am inviting you to see that challenge before us. Know that when we confront those challenges, be confident that our members are behind us and that we cast our minds into the sort of future that we want. What role will we play? Individually, collectively, as a union? What role will this union play? What role do you want this union and its leadership to play in the future that we want? The truth is that things are changing. People have seen the injustice. Many workers are suffering the injustice. We are at a time in our history where, if we have a willingness to do so, we can make that change. And the only question is, do we have it within ourselves to do that? Talking of change, I want to conclude by some other change that is almost certain to happen, and that is about myself. It's no secret that recently I've expressed a wish to go into Parliament next year under the Labour Party banner. And I want to confirm to this conference that it is my intention to pursue this. Whether I seek to go into Parliament as an electorate representative or on the list of the New Zealand Labour Party, or both, is yet to be decided. But you can expect to hear some announcements on this in the next 2 to 3 weeks. But there are 2 points I wish to make. Firstly, the issue of succession planning within the union has been discussed with the leadership, the National Executive and others for the last 2 or 3 years. The National Executive and the leadership of the union remain committed to certainty and continuity to the best extent possible. And if I am privileged to be elected to serve in New Zealand's Parliament next year, the National Executive will, as the rules require, appoint an acting secretary until the next scheduled elections in 2012. Just want to be clear about what could happen. And then, in those elections in 2012, there will be at least one highly credible candidate. Within the senior officials of the union, much time and effort has been invested in developing the next generation of union leaders, not just the next national secretaries or potential national secretaries, but the broader leadership of the union. But the second point I want to make is this.